If you're tired of losing games in college football 26, this is going to be the best video you've ever watched because I'm breaking down 5 pro tips that guys like Decroft and Hexy use to win pro tournaments, and I've used these tips to win thousands of dollars here in CFB 26. Let's jump right into it. Alright, the first thing I need to go over is the best offensive and defensive settings to use. You can't win games with the wrong settings. Alright, so when we come here on defense, we have auto flip, defensive play call. We want to make sure this is on. I'll talk about this in a second. Cornerback matchups need to be on balance. Defensive motion response on disable so that your guys aren't following receivers across the field. Alright, a lot of these other ones don't really matter, but when we come down to zone drops, alright, you want to make sure that you need to change your zone drops throughout the game depending on what your opponent's doing, or you can just set them to 5 on curl flats and then leave them, and that's a pretty good way to kind of get your zones to play how you want them and how they're supposed to. But close pinch as far as safety alignment. All right, and then if we come in here and pause the game, all right, we're going to come into game options. We're going to scroll down until we find gameplay helpers. All right, ball hawk needs to be on. Heat seeker assist needs to be on, so when you can make dive tackles on running backs in the backfield, especially with the new speed burst meta, right? And then switch to delay needs to be on none, switch assist needs to be on. All right, let me show you why you need to make sure you have auto flip on though. All right, so if we come into any play with a slot corner and we turn it off, let's just say we turn it off, now you can see I can flip my play by pressing RT, right? So I can flip my play, and here's the problem with that. You can guess wrong. So you're able to see this formation right here actually is a great example of that. I guessed wrong, and so now I have my slot corner right here on the opposite side of their slot receiver, which in cover 2, it's a symmetrical it's a symmetrical defense. So it's okay, but I would rather my slot corner be on the left side in this case to match up with their slot receiver, right? If I wanted to man up their slot receiver with the man across him, well, now that's a linebacker, and so you can see how that kind of can create a matchup mismatch, for the offense in particular. But if we go ahead and put them in the same formation, you're going to see when I have auto flip on and I call the same cover 2, well, now you're going to see 10 times out of 10, this slot corner is going to come out on the right side, or I guess on the correct side, which is on the left in this case, right? And so now if we want to man that guy up with the guy across him, it's now my slot corner who's more adept to be able to defend a slot receiver, right? And so that's really just a little thing that you need to understand and kind of take heed to with your defensive settings. But I'm not done there though, because it's important to have the right settings at both sides of the ball. And offense, I would say, is a lot simpler as far as which settings you need to use. You want to make sure auto base protection is turned on to base. All right, I'm going to show you why right here. So I'm actually going to turn it off here. I'm going to turn it back. Off is the default setting, so make sure you come in there and change it. But you're going to see how there's going to be times when you call plays and you half slide your line in one direction, right? So you EA automatically is going to half slide your line. So you're just going to walk to the line with this play called stock, and EA is going to give you this pass protection. I don't know who thought this was a good idea, honestly, because it's so stupid to me. But if the defense decides they want to blitz you off the other side of the field, right, whether it's intentional or they just happen to do it in that play, you're going to notice how a guy's going to walk in completely free. 2 guys actually kind of came in free. That slot corner came in free, and then another guy was about to walk in, and that was only a 5-man blitz, right? And honestly, they could have just dropped this guy out if they wanted to. He's not even necessary this play because they overloaded one side of the offensive line. But you can just see how, this is just terrible. Like, this is just terrible to have your whole line sliding in the wrong direction here. You can see we double team one guy. Like, this is just bad protection. Again, right, there's ways for the defense to still win the rep. I'm not saying that having base protection is going to completely solve your pass protection, but it will save you in a lot of situations when EA is really trying their hardest to screw you over, right? Now you can see base protection here, block your running back, and now you're able to step up and have plenty of time to throw, given that you can still get receivers open and such. But yeah, make sure you have auto base protection turned onto base so that when you walk up to the line, your pass protection just looks like this every time. Now, you can also put it on empty, but just make sure it's not off. You don't want to allow EA to set the pass protection for you. You either want to just come out in base protection and snap the ball, or set the pass protection yourself every play. But those are the best settings you need to be using. Alright, if you play online, or even if you don't play online, one of the best formations in this game is bunch formations, particularly bunch strong offset. Let me show you the best way to bag all of their go-to plays. Alright, so here we go. We're going to come into bunch strong offset here, and we're going to take a look at a couple of plays here. Flood is going to be the first one. As the play name kind of, tells you, this is a flood concept. And so how do we go about stopping those? So really there's, my favorite way is actually just using match coverage. All right, so we're going to come into cover 4 palms here in this case. Or excuse me, not cover 4 palms, we're going to come into cover 6. All right, but here's the key. I told you zone drop flats on 5 earlier. Well, now to run this particular coverage, you have to, it is a must that you put all 3 of these on default. All right, so we're going to come into cover 6 now, and we're just going to call this flood concept from them. All right, and you're just going to watch how this is going to be perfect defense right here on the sideline to stop that corner out. You can see how the quarter flat did a great job of dropping to stop the flat route from the slot receiver right here. So boom, we're sitting on this. He comes down. These guys pass these routes off perfectly down the field. He's sitting on it. Like, I'm going to be honest, when I'm playing on offense, this just looks like zone coverage. Boom, boom, boom. We look like they're in zone. He's going to turn outside right here, this particular man, to stop number 8. And now I'm just going to wait and load up and throw this pass on the sideline, right? That's all it seems like we're going to do. But no, because look, this is going to turn into match coverage down the field. We're going to match onto this corner out. We're going to match onto this streak. And then even the backside dig on this play, which is pretty good. No, we're sitting on this too, and we're just going to follow it across the field, basically triple team it. So you can see how one of their best plays, one of the most annoying route concepts to stop, is absolutely locked down. But we're not done there though, because if we come to another play that's very tough to stop, right? Corner strike, if they call it probably like this, which is how a lot of people are going to call this play, you're going to see, now I'm actually going to put my user on the field, but boom, you're going to see how I'm pretty much only going to have to guard this one route, and you can now see how that's perfect defense, right? So whether they want to run bunch strong offset, any bunch formation, anything where they're going to be attacking the sidelines, because this is what a lot of people do. They only attack vertically, and they only attack outside towards, outside of the numbers or the hash marks. So you don't get a whole lot of middle of the field throws, and that's what this defense is exactly designed to do, right? You're going to see how if I just user this, middle of the field throw to the running back, you can see how our guys are in perfect position to stop these routes out here. We're sitting on this corner route. We basically have it bracketed. We're underneath. We're over the top. And again, you're going to confuse a lot of offensive players simply because when they see this ball snap, this just looks like zone coverage. Right? It just looks like they're going to be in cover 3, and I can just load up, throw my corner out. But no, because as soon as you take away their first read, now there's no one else open, and the pressure starts to get them down on the ground. So match coverage, particularly cover 6, one of my favorites, is one of the best ways to stop these meta offenses. Alright, I've talked about a lot of different concepts so far in this video, and if you're having trouble keeping up or remembering, that's why I created written tactical breakdowns. Go to the link down below in the pinned comment, grab one today for the price of coffee. Please don't let $9 be the reason you're still struggling to win games in college football 26. Everything I talked about in this video in a written step-by-step guide for you to follow along on your phone. Let's jump right back into it. Alright, what everyone wants to know, how do you speed burst here in college football 26? It's not easy, so let me show you exactly how I like to practice doing it and implement it. Alright, so we're going to come into offense only practice mode here. Alright, we're going to come into duo. Alright, I'm going to put a defense out here in a second, but I do want to show you this run. Now, these runs, these kind of delayed handoff runs are actually the best to speed boost out of because it gives you, a lot more control. But the first thing you need to understand is you're going to come into coaching, or you're going to come into your depth chart, and I want to show you this. I don't really know this Oregon State offense very well, but I do know this dude, Anthony Hankerson, has gold and gold 360 and bronze sidestep, right? So he's very elusive. He has 90 agility, which the threshold is 90. You want to have 90 agility. You want to have as close to 90 change of direction. You see, he's at 88. Now, obviously, the closer, the better. But I'm just saying, if you don't have, a very good change of direction, you're not an elusive guy. He's also 5'8", so that, certainly helps him out, being lower to the ground and being more agile. But you're going to see I'm going to take the snap, and I'm just going to be able to speed boost out of that. you can just see I'm able to speed boost out of that initial handoff. I would say in Madden, I actually believe the speed boost is a little bit better. But here in this game, it's still very good. But the movement on this game is already really fast. And so you're able to speed boost out of a lot of these different, turns. You see how that last cut in particular, I was able to speed burst. Now, how are you going to do it? So really with this run, you want to either speed boost out to the right or to the left, all right? And so if you're going to speed boost out to the left, you're going to be holding right trigger, and then you're going to tap left trigger and have that left stick aimed in that direction that you're running. So I'm going to try to do it here. Boom, and you're going to see how we're going to be able to easily speed burst out of that first cut. And then, I mean, Skimbo and one great user like to call this the hard cut, which actually that's kind of what it's supposed to be when you press left trigger. You're just supposed to hard cut out of, the cut. But here with this, it's like a speed boost that you get out of it, especially, again, when you have those really elusive guys. So you're going to see right here, boom, I'm going to take this handoff, and then I'm able to get that, like, artificial speed boost. Now, obviously, I ran into my blockers here. They would be pushing upfield, and I'm going to get the defense out here in a second. This would be a lot better if I didn't keep running into these guys. But you see how you're able to, I would recommend speed bursting and then probably chaining it with, like, a spin. Because essentially, you have to change directions with the speed boost. So it's pretty good when, boom, you just burst, and then you spin, and then you burst back the other way. So you're going to burst left, spin right, burst left, right? That's when it's really good. Or you can obviously burst right, spin left, burst right. And so I'm going to try to do that here. Boom, we're able to burst, then we're going to spin, and then we're going to burst again. Right, and so again, just tapping that left trigger and making sure that that left stick is aimed in the direction that you're trying to run. Again, it takes practice. I do like this duo run because it's a little bit of a delayed handoff, which gives you a little bit more time to actually set up the move. But we're going to put the defense back in the field. And so you're going to see it right here. Boom, we're going to take this snap. We're going to burst. We're going to spin. And so it's like, I mean, we are able to pick up good yards. I would say with this, you don't want to, like, telegraph it. And so, like, if you have a wide open lane up the middle, don't just tell yourself before the play, I'm bursting. Follow your blocks, right? I know I want to burst out here, then I want to spin, right? And so it's also like you don't want to overuse certain moves. Like, again, I'm trying to show the move off here. But, like, if I have, like, I would have, on that play, I should have ran out to the right. I mean, again, this is a good run already. So in this case, you don't really even need to really burst. But you're going to see I'm going to try to burst. And then obviously, like, sometimes you get tackled. So if I'm able to burst left, spin right, and then burst back to the left, that's really the kind of dream here. All right, in this case in particular, they're overloading that left side. So I'm going to try to obviously get out to the right if I can. No, they're still going to give me that lane. So you see right there, I didn't even speed boost because I didn't need to. So that's really the biggest thing. One last time here, we're going to take the snap. We're going to speed boost out. There we go. And, oh, I actually could have bursted back out. That's actually the perfect setup for what you're trying to do. I just forgot to speed burst the second time. So, again, boom. Take this handoff. See the lanes open to the left. So I know I want to get there. So I'm going to speed burst to get there. Boom. You see I get this artificial kind of boost out of that cut. And then I'm going to spin that man out because he's a defensive lineman. And then I should have just, if I just would have speed boosted out, I could have messed up 19th pursuit angle and probably score. So that's how you speed boost. That's why it's effective. I hope you're able to get a good demonstration of how to do it and how it's effective. So I would just get in the lab and practice chaining all of these moves together with the speed boost. All right, so I just showed you how to speed boost, but you probably want to know, BLT, how do I counter that? How do I stop the run and how do I stop RPOs? Let me show you exactly how to do that. Alright, so first we're going to talk about how you can stop the run. We're going to talk about the run first. RPOs are obviously a run pass option, so a lot of the same concepts from the run game are going to carry over. But if we start here with the run, really the biggest thing I would say is stand about 4 yards over the guard, and you're just kind of trying to loop through the line. So again, boom, you're just going to try to loop around, meet that guy at the point of attack, and shoot the gap in the backfield by pressing square or X, okay? So essentially, you're going to force them to cut back. All right, I'm going to stand about right here. Maybe I was a little too far back there. Boom, we're going to try to loop around, and you see how I'm able to dive tackle that ball carrier, cut his legs out. And really the best part about that is it prevents them from actually being able to speed boost, right? Because you're just trying to make this dive tackle as soon as possible, really before they even have an opportunity to speed boost, right? So if we take a look at this picture, they can't cut back to the right because we have a defensive lineman there. So they're almost forced to carry this play out to the play side, which again, I'm just going to come through and dive tackle this guy in the backfield for an easy tackle. Shout out to number 16 also for making a play there. But this is why you need to have Heat Seeker on. If I didn't have Heat Seeker Assist on, my guy would just be flying around and it would be way harder to make those dive tackles, all right? So really, as soon as the ball snapped, just making that loop motion over there to the play side. So again, boom, take it, and then we're just going to try to make that play. Sometimes you do get picked up, unfortunately, by the guards, but in that case in particular, if the guard blocks me, then you see how he can't really block the other player, the slot corner, who comes up and makes the play. But essentially, you're just trying to get the motion down, right? All it really is trying to fill through that gap in between here, in this case, 55 and 56, and just pressing X or square on PlayStation to dive tackle that ball carrier in the backfield. But if we come in here to try to defend an RPO, right, we're going to come into RPO read screen here in this case, and we're going to call Tampa 2. Okay, RPOs are different, and you want to know why they're so different? Because if you call a regular cover 2 defense, you're going to get absolutely torched by RPOs, okay? They're easily going to be able to throw the ball out to the flat. It's not going to really matter if you shade your coverage down, right? People are going to tell you shade underneath, right? Pass commit your defense. Doesn't matter. You can just see how they can very easily throw that ball out there, and it really just comes down to number 7 in that case, making that block versus not, right? But you never want to rely on AI defenders to shed in order for your defense to play correctly. So the real adjustment to stop RPOs every time, you can still run in cover 2. If that's the coverage that you want to run, that's fine. You can run in cover 2, but just man up the bubble now. So man up the bubble receiver, shade your coverage down, and pass commit. So now it looks something like this. All right, so again, but it's still the same run defense. Right here, again, you're just going to stand about 4 yards over that guard, and you're trying to loop through, especially against inside runs. So again, you're going to see right here where because he's manned up and he's pass committed, he's not going to be looking into the backfield. The pass commit is the key, right? And so you're able to see, boom, you were able to just pass commit this guy, and we're going to be able to make an easy play, easy tackle out here. And again, I'm still ready to stop the run. I had to put my controller down for the sake of showing you, but it's very important that you're always ready to loop through and shoot gaps. So again, one last time here, we're going to man up this bubble receiver, shade underneath, pass commit our defense, and so we're ready now to stop the run, because now we're just going to loop around, and we're in that backfield to stop the run, and my user, my other players are there to help. And then if we take one last look here, you're going to see how we're sitting on this bubble every single time. So very easy RPO and run defense, because essentially you're going to take away the run game with your user, and then you're just going to take away the pass game by simply manning a guy up and pass committing your defense. All right, and so that last pro trick that all these top guys are using to get more pressure on the quarterback is custom stunts. Let me show you the best ones to use right now. Alright, so we're going to come into nickel 2-4 single mug, okay? 2-4 single mug here, and we're going to come into Tampa 2. Here's the key. You have a lot of stunts. You have 2-man stunts, you have 4-man stunts, right? So obviously we're going to talk about the Texas 4-man first, because this is a very good stunt, right? And so if we just go ahead and stand right here over the center in this case, you're going to see how we're able to pretty easily collapse the pocket. Now, you want to make sure that you're able to have a good user over the middle of the field, because if you really think about it, you're going to play against a lot of people who are making panic reads, and so if you just stick over the middle, you're going to get some easy interceptions. But the reason why this works is because you have fast defensive linemen looping through. You see how basically the center had to come over and block this man, right? And the center was late because I got his attention. So neither of these two offensive linemen on the left side saw this guy looping around. They just went and double teamed someone else, right? So they were going to let this guy come in free. Center comes and saves the day a little bit, but he's just late to recognize the play. And so we're able to get pressure. So that was only a 4-man rush against a 5-man protection, and we're just able to pretty easily walk in the backfield quickly, right? Even if they really block their running back a lot of the time, you're going to get running backs matched up one-on-one against defensive linemen. So you're able to see same same thing right here, where again, that's just really quick pressure, especially from only a 4-man rush. Like, that's a nightmare if you're on offense and you're a passer like myself. It's like, why would I want to play against this? I don't have anywhere to step up in the pocket, and it's like, if you don't get rid of the ball like this, like super fast, I mean, this is just, again, a nightmare for an offensive player. But I always like to give you guys the counter to stuff, and then we're going to talk about the counter to the counter, all right? So a lot of people, when they see custom stunts, good offensive players, not a lot of people, but good offensive players, they're just going to take the snap and immediately roll out, because they understand that your defensive ends are basically stunting inside. They're basically just looping around and inside, and they're completely sacrificing their contain, right? And so that's going to be a problem if they just decide to do this, right? And I've done this many times against people who are just going to brain dead stunt. Now, you could mix in, that's why I always say mix in stunts versus contains, right? Because you don't want to just always be stunting them and always let them know that they can roll out. Or you can just call the left exit 2-man stunt in particular. And the reason why this works is because you're going to be able to stunt off the left side, but you're going to be able to contain off the right side. So we're going to see what happens when they try to do the same thing. They see this stunt off the left, so they immediately roll out, but they can, I mean, he should have made that play. So you can just see how he's right there to, make that tackle. That's actually one of the best, pass rushers in the game. Can't believe he missed that one, but this is very easy, right? So you're just going to hold containing the quarterback off the right side, and then you're going to be able to loop through and stunt off of this, left side. So it's a really great defense because you're going to absolutely confuse them, right? And so they're not going to be able to roll out, and they're not going to really be able to step up in the pocket. Right? So if we set it up the same way, right, we're going to call the left exit 2-man stunt. We're going to contain our defense here so that we have that contain. And again, we're going to pass commit. Well, now we're going to see if they go ahead, take the snap right here, step up in the pocket. You can just see how, they don't really have a whole lot. I mean, this guy's just the greatest. I'll say that. But you can just see how you're going to be able to still collapse the pocket off of that left side, but then again, you're going to have that contain off of this right side to really do a great job against, those mobile quarterbacks or those really intellectual offensive players who just want to take off. So yeah, custom stunts are a really great way to not only get pressure on the quarterback, but really play a really good cat and mouse game with them. Do I roll out, or do I try to stand tall in a pocket that's collapsing fast? Alright, if you enjoyed any of those 5 tips and want to learn more, of course, hit that subscribe button. I drop daily videos on college football 26 to help you get better. But check out my written breakdown, again, at the link in the pinned comment, where you can get this whole video in written form. Or you can subscribe to CFB University, where you're going to get a huge discount on all the written breakdowns I put out every month. I encourage you to check it out. But if you're still struggling on offense here in CFB 26, check out this video where I give you 5 tips to transform your game. I'll see you over there.